Today, I want to share something with you guys that's kind of difficult for me to share. So last week, I posted my video about my DMT experience, and a few people commented on that video letting me know that they were interested in hearing about my psychosis after that experience. While part of me is really excited to share this experience with you guys, another part of me is really scared to post this video and was scared to post last week's video because these are very difficult experiences in my life, something that's very true to me and who I am. Part of me sharing this video and the reason that I'm sharing these experiences now is because, first of all, I'm ready to, but it's also very healing for me to share this experience with others, to put it out there. So I appreciate all of your guys' support, people who have been watching my videos for a long time, and people who are just coming in and watching this video. I definitely appreciate you being interested in my experience. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start off where I left in my DMT video. When I woke up from sleeping from the end of my trip, I can't really remember how long I slept or if I went back to sleep, but when I finally woke up and was moving around, something was different for sure. There was this really high level energy and this pace of thought and this sort of overwhelming sense of direction to some degree. Like there was this task that I had to do, or there was some things that I had to do. I think the first thing I did, I may have eaten something real quick, but I went to my parents' house. I drove back from this guy's house to my parents' house, and on the way I had my first visual hallucination. I only had 2 visual hallucinations in my whole experience, and the first one was me driving home, and I thought I saw a dead person on the side of the road. So that was a little bit disturbing, and I contemplated whether I should go back and help the person or just continue driving. I decided to continue driving. Part of me was debating whether that was real or not, so I didn't know if that was the actual thing. I don't think it was. Otherwise, it probably would have been on the news. But I went to my parents' house, and they could tell immediately that something was different. My eyes were super dilated, and I had a completely different energy. And my mom was scared of me because I was just different, and I had a very authoritative kind of stance and demeanor. And I ended up telling them that I needed to go and that there was a trip that I needed to go on in Mexico because that guy had told me that he was going to go to Mexico, and for some reason I thought it was a good idea to go on it. I was in an altered state, so I just thought that was my mission was to go to Mexico and stuff. But I ended up giving my parents gifts. One of them was a stuffed animal that I've had all my life, and I gave that to my mother because I knew that she would need some comfort and support. And then I gave a little thing that I made when I was a kid. It had butterflies and hearts on it. It was a piece of artwork, and I gave that to my dad because I knew that he would need some love. And so I gave those to them, and then I left. And my parents were really confused as to what was going on. But I left, and I went to a Native American mound site, and I spent the night there. I don't think you're allowed to do that, but I did it. That's the last thing I was thinking about, was whether it was legal or not. I was in an altered state. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I was convinced that my dog had died, and I heard some squeaking noise in the car. I guess that was an auditory hallucination, and I thought it was I had a blue monkey show up in a dream before before this experience, and I thought that that blue monkey was there, and he was like a divine being in my dream. So, I had quite an affinity for him, or like having a connection with him. But I ended up going to school the next day. I was going to Ohio State, Newark at the time, and I went to class, and I was clearly in an altered state. I was speaking to people in metaphors. I told one girl in my class that she needed to take her clothes off, not like in like a physical way, but that she like had a lot of barriers and shields and things preventing her from being her true self. And so speaking to people in metaphors, trying to help them understand who they truly are, because I felt like I could see people for who they were, not like the images and stuff like that they put out. So I had like a very, very strong intuition. Like my intuition was like off the charts, but I was not able to function in the world, and I kept like leaving the class and coming back in. I was very disruptive, and the teacher was concerned, and she said, are you on drugs? And I said, no, I didn't take any drugs. And I genuinely thought that I was fine. Like I didn't think there was anything wrong. I just thought that I was like enlightened or something, that I had some kind of enlightening experience and I was an enlightened being or something. I almost felt like a god. And I had a girlfriend at the time, and she was freaking out. She was very concerned, and she tried to understand what was going on. But I ended up saying a few things that scared her, and so she ended up going away. Because I was speaking in metaphors, and people didn't really understand what I was saying, but it made sense to me. So I ended up driving over to my mentor's place, where he was a chiropractor, and so I went over there to go talk to him, and he wasn't he helped me in some ways, but he definitely was not a good mentor in some ways, because he didn't really understand the implications of some of the things that he was teaching me or having on me. Like it wasn't grounded information that he was giving me. He was helping me fly higher, and I'll talk about that sort of in the other video that I might make about what led up to this experience. So I went to his place, and he immediately could tell that he thought I was just high, but I was in full-blown psychotic break, and he stepped out back in of his practice, and there's like kind of a pond behind his practice, and when we went back there, this is the second visual hallucination that I had, and I saw the pond as like a whirlpool, and there was these fish jumping out everywhere, and there was a hawk that flew down. There was like a huge celebration, it seemed, and my mentor at the time, he said, this is a celebration for you. And I don't know if that's something that actually happened or not, but that's what I experienced, that this was a celebration that like I'd had, and that was like confirming my thought that I was somehow enlightened or having some kind of spiritual experience. So it kind of like kept me going on that train of thought, and he didn't really stop me from doing anything. I told him that I'd miss him, and he said, I'll still be here. I thought he was like my father, like my cosmic father or something. I thought that he was Shiva, like I think Shiva's the destroyer god, I'm pretty sure. But I thought that he was Shiva. So I said, I'm going to miss you. After that, he didn't understand why I said that, but it kind of makes sense now, since I don't really hang out with him or talk to him anymore. So I ended up leaving in my car which, he probably should have been like, stay here, and maybe got my mother some way to like calm me down or get me in a safe place, but he let me drive. So I drove, and I kept driving and driving and driving, and I was just going like, I don't remember like what I was driving for. I just kept driving, and I kept seeing like hawks everywhere, and that was just confirmation that I was like on the right track, and just like constantly driving, and I get to this pond. And at that point I thought that I was some kind of god or some kind of saint, or I thought I was Christ. And so I tried to walk on water, which to my disappointment I couldn't. And I remember seeing a sign right after I walked on water. It was on this truck, and it just seemed to come out of nowhere. I don't know, it had something to do with like Jesus and love, but it was phrased in a way that was different from the way it normally is phrased. So I thought that was interesting. So I just kind of kept driving. After I tried to walk on water, it didn't work. I just drove in different places. I don't even know where I was going. I just kind of kept driving. And then I had the idea that I was a spaceship driver, that I needed to train to drive this spaceship to save humanity or save the world, that like the people that need to be saved, they'd all come on this spaceship that was hidden like underground, and we'd like launch off into the universe and like, I don't know, I was the captain of the ship or something. So I was like driving kind of like maniacally, and I had been driving kind of maniacally the whole time, but especially not the whole time, but some of the time, especially during this point. And I went flying over this hill on a dirt road, and I went down this hill, and I hit the brakes, and I didn't have ABS brakes. So I ended up just like kind of losing control, going off the road, and I hit a telephone pole. And at that point, like, I wasn't hurt, but I still felt like I had a mission to accomplish, and I thought I had to like save the world and face like the most darkest darkness in the world, and I was sort of like a martyr kind of thing. So I went into my trunk, I grabbed my backpack, I had a bunch of food that I had just bought at Giant Eagle, and I remember a truck coming by and asking me if I was okay, and I just remember telling them that, oh, you need to bring me to my girlfriend's house. You need to bring me to my girlfriend's house. And they could clearly see, I think, that I was sort of in some kind of delusional state, and so they got scared and went away. So I just kind of went along my path. I went with my backpack, and I was walking, and I was convinced I had to face the darkness, that I was like some sort of Christ or something. So I kept walking, and I ended up like pulling down my pants. I was in my boxers with my backpack at the end, and I ended up at someone's house, and I was scared. Like, I thought I was going to be beaten to death or something, but I like was convinced that I had to like continue through and keep on going. Like, this is my journey. I'm going to save the world. And so I come to this person's house, and she comes out, and she looks concerned, because somebody who's in their boxers and a backpack, like a backpacking backpack, is in front of her house. And she says, "Are you okay?" And I said, I don't even know what I said. I just said, yeah, or something like that. And then she just said, I think she went and got some food and like called the police or whatever. And it was like, that was sort of the end of my journey, because I like had continued through my fear, continued through my fear of being like basically beaten to death, and at the end was just love. Like, she just like was caring and loving, and she gave me like some food to eat, and it was just like really surreal. And then this hawk came flying over me, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like fear is an illusion, like it's all love. And so that was kind of like a revelation that I had like during that experience. And then And then the police officers and the medics came, and they brought me to the hospital, and I thought they were angels coming down to save me, and they like that I was safe, that I had like made it through my journey, and I was like safe with them. So yeah, that was the beginning of my journey. I know this video is getting kind of long, so I might stop it there. And if people are interested in hearing more, what happened when I was in the hospital, and after that, then maybe I'll share more. But I'll see if people are interested in what I had to say. And I do want to share my full story, but I want people to be able to watch the whole thing. If they want to, and I know that long videos generally don't appeal to people. So if you like this video, let me know by liking or commenting below. And if you'd like to see more videos by me, then consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you know when I post new videos. And as always, make sure to seek your truth and to take time for yourself. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.